Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games and welcome to my top 10 speculative reserve list investment video. Alright, so a few things to note about this video. These are speculative plays. I want to stress that. So they could do absolutely nothing, they may go down from here, or they may quadruple in value. I've tried to pick great cards that I think have a really good chance of increasing in value in the future. But like all investments in your life, they carry an element of risk, and you should use the information I provide in this video as exactly that. Information. All right, a couple other things. In order to make the list, cards need to meet a couple of criteria. First of all, they need to be at least playable in Commander. And while most of these won't be playable in competitive decks, they could definitely slot into the right types of casual decks. And secondly, the cards need to be at recent lows. And by recent, I mean within the last couple of years or so. For example, Diamond Kaleidoscope here has had a low around 70 cents for the course of the last couple of years. And that's where we are at today. All right, let's dive right into our list, and we're going to start with our number 10 card, Diamond Kaleidoscope from Visions. I'm kind of surprised Diamond Kaleidoscope hasn't really had any attention over the last few years, especially recently with all these reserve list buyouts. Currently sitting around 70 cents. It's a fun little card. It hasn't really fallen below that for the course of the last few years, so you're pretty safe jumping in at 70 cents for sure. This could definitely slot into the right types of artifact matter stack. For 4 mana, we get an artifact, and we can pay 3 at any time, tap it, and put a 0/1 prism artifact creature into play. And then we can sacrifice prisms to add 1 mana of any color to our mana pool. So great little sort of mana dump, especially for artifacts matter stacks since we're creating artifact creatures, and we have future potential mana ramp with the prism tokens. Fun little card in the number 10 spot, Diamond Kaleidoscope from Visions. And taking up the number 9 spot, we have Psychic Vortex from Weatherlight. Now this one breaks one of my rules a little bit in that it has moved a little bit. It's actually almost doubled in price over the course of the last few weeks. Currently sitting at $2.25, and I think this is still a great time to be getting into this card if it interests you and you think this has potential for the future. It's a really bizarre card, but it could definitely play well in a few different kinds of strategies. For 4 mana, we're getting an enchantment with a cumulative upkeep of draw a card. So we're going to be drawing a whole ton of cards off of this if it manages to stick around. However, the downsides are massive. At the end of your turn, you have to sack a land and discard your hand. Now, the sack a land thing shouldn't be really all that onerous once Psychic Vortex gets rolling, because you're probably drawing a few lands every turn. But the discarding your hand is definitely a massive downside at the end of every one of your turns. There's a few different ways that this could play out. I mean, maybe you throw it into some sort of deck where you're trying to basically go through your whole deck. Or maybe you're playing it with a Hellbent strategy. Or maybe you just want to be mean and give this to one of your opponents to make them sack lands and discard their hands every turn. Either way, I know there's a fun commander deck out there with Psychic Vortex in it. And at $2.25, we're a long ways off from all-time highs of nearly $6.50. So great opportunity to be grabbing this card right now. Taking up the number 8 spot, we have Null Chamber from Mirage, currently sitting at $1.65, and this is a long way off from all-time highs of nearly $9. This card is the essence of Commander now, isn't it? I love Commander politics, and this definitely inspires some deal making. For 4 mana, we're getting an enchantment, and when it enters the battlefield, you pick an opponent, and each of those chooses a card name, except a basic land, and those cards can't be played. Hey, tell you what, we're getting our butts handed to us. How about I play Null Chamber, you pick this, I'll pick this, everybody's happy. Sounds like it could be a really fun card for Commander and a great time to be getting in at just $1.65 for Null Chamber. And my number 7 choice is to Fairies Realm from Visions, currently valued around $2.40, and this card's also a long way off of its all-time highs of nearly $7. Fairies Realm is really kind of interesting and could definitely be played in the right types of decks, especially a tokens matter deck. So for 3 mana, we get an enchantment. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player chooses either artifact, creature, lands, or enchantments, and all cards of those type phases out. Now, keep in mind, if you do choose enchantments, Fairies Realm is going to phase out. Now, this has been errated. If we head on over to Gatherer, this has been errated to say at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player chooses artifact creature, non-aura enchantment, land, and all non-token permanents of that type phases out. So going back to Fairies Realm, this could definitely be fun to play in some sort of token matters deck because tokens are never going to phase out. So if you're always choosing creatures, you have a lot of opportunities to just get in there with your tokens. Cool card and a great time to be getting in at $2.37. All right, my number 6 choice is Zarin Ruins from Homeland, currently valued at $1.62, and this card's had an all-time high of just over $4. Zarin Ruins is a fun and interesting way to tap down an annoying commander at the very worst case. So for 4 mana, we're getting an enchantment, and we choose a creature type. Creatures of that chosen type don't untap during their controller's untap phase. And the very worst case, if this is in your deck, you can use it to tap down permanently an annoying commander. But if you happen to run into the right types of decks, say you run into some sort of tribal deck or something, you could really give one of your opponents a bad day. A little interesting side note too, this could actually play out in Kalamax depending on your Kalamax build. Remember, Kalamax wants to be tapped in order for him to be able to copy instant or sorcery spells for you. So Zarin Ruins could definitely play in the right types of Kalamax builds. Coming in at number 5, we have Flooded Shoreline from Visions, currently valued at $1.52, and this card has had an all-time high of nearly $5. I really like this for the right types of control type commander builds. For 2 mana, we're getting an enchantment, and then we can pay 2 blue, return 2 islands we control to their owner's hands, and then return a creature to its owner's hand. Seems like a fun card for the right control type commander builds, and a great price at $1.52. Lodestone Baubles had a lot of attention over the course of the last 3 years or so, and my number 4 pick is a great choice to be included in any sort of Artifacts Matters deck, or even just as sort of backup protection if you happen to have that guy in your commander group that likes to play Armageddon. For just 0 mana, we're getting an artifact, and we can pay 1, tap it, and sacrifice it, and then we can put up to 4 basic lands from a target player's graveyard on top of their library. And then that player draws a card at the beginning of their next upkeep. So really good, like I said, as backup protection for something like Armageddon. Awesome card to play in Cheerios or Artifacts Matters deck. And it's had most of its time over the course of the last 3 years has been at a point that is at or higher than its current price of $2.20. Taking up the number 3 spot, we have Mangars Tomb from Mirage. Even though this has had a little bit of an uptick recently, $1.83 is still a great time to be jumping into this card if this is one that interests you. I could see this being really awesome in an oppressive control type commander strategy. I mean, there's a lot of strategies that could really employ this card, but this is amazing for a control strategy for sure. For 5 mana, we get an artifact. When it comes into play, we tutor out 5 cards from our library and put those face down underneath Mangars Tomb. Now at any point when you're about to draw a card, you can use the replacement effect, which is pay 2 and put the top card from the pile under Mangars Tomb into your hand. So I can imagine a control player running and grabbing out 5 board wipes or something crazy like that, Psych Rifts, maybe some board wipes, some other stuff, putting it under Mangars Tomb, and whenever the situation is getting out of hand, just grabbing out one of those board wipes and hitting the reset button. This card's had an all-time high of $3, so at under $2, it's a great time to be considering Mangars Tomb. Now my number 2 choice is Omen of Fire from Alliances, currently valued at $1.25 with an all-time high of $5.25. I gotta be honest with you, I don't understand why this doesn't get a lot more play than it does in Commander. It has just a devastating effect, especially against the right types of opponents and in the right type of deck. For 5 mana, we're getting an instant that has return all islands to their owner's hands, and each player sacrifices a plains or a white permanent for each white permanent they control. This could be really oppressive in Commander, especially in a mono red deck like Kranko or something like that. Great card to be picking up at $1.25. And my number 1 choice has the potential to be an all-star in the right types of commander decks. That's right, it's Shimmer from Mirage, currently valued at $3, and there has not been a better time to get this card in the last few years. It's currently worth less than a third of its all-time high, and almost the entire time for the last 3 years, it's been valued at a point which has been much higher than where it currently is today. It has a devastating effect in that we pay 4 mana, and when it enters the battlefield, we choose a land type, and all lands of the chosen type gain phasing. Imagine throwing this out there when you're facing off against a mono-colored opponent. Oh, sorry, you only get your lands every other turn. Really great time to be picking up our #1 pick at under $3, and that's Shimmer from Mirage. All right, I really hope you guys enjoyed my top 10 picks for speculative reserve list investing. This is part 3 in a 3-part series on reserve list investing. And if playing it safe is more your jam, I did a video on top 10 low risk investments. I'll put that up in the top right hand corner. Make sure you check that out. And if you're looking for a way to support this channel, visit our online marketplace at www.dragonhillgames.com. And I'll also put a link for that in the description of this video. Of course, we have all of your favorite board games, role-playing games, fantasy miniatures, and awesome MTG products. All right, thanks for watching. Bye for now.